This is the Flask, issue 20 from DC. This issue sees the Flask, Willie West, become homeless, which is really awkward since the writer of this did become, and possibly still is, homeless. I didn't know. It has been a few years. I would like to imagine that in that time he has managed to raise enough money to sort things. But there isn't really a website where you can go on and type a person's name into it and get told if they are homeless or homeful. As such, I didn't like to mock the guy. He is a good writer, and I didn't know why DC and Marvel didn't put him on a book now. He is much better than most their current roster of writers. Speaking of that awkwardness, we have this bit at the start where a homeless person loiters around Flask's apartment building and people are rude and insulting to him. Even the Flask doesn't come off as sympathetic as you would hope. Like here we have Willie West, the title hero, generalise and say, they are saying that all these guys are out of mental hospitals. Anybody who is out on the street, you know, is not right. I would never suggest that people reap what they sow, because most people are not into seed farming, so they would never sow anything. But there is definitely some unintended irony here, and I didn't really like it. Neither do I really like this plot. This is very clumsy writing. Out of nowhere, Flask gets evicted from his building. Someone also steals all of Flask's luggage when he wasn't looking. And so Flask has nowhere to go. And I disagree. He has plenty of places to go. He could go to the headquarters of the Tiny Titans. He could go to the Justice League. He could go to any member of either of those teams. It would probably put him up for a night. He could go to his Aunt Crystal's. He could go to any of the women and supermodels that he was banging in the run before this. But he cannot even get a motel room because his credit card is declined. It's just too convenient for the plot that everything is gone bad. And they half acknowledged the Justice League thing by saying that Blue Beetles and Miracle Man, they actually came knocking for Willie West to join the team a few weeks ago, but his idiot mum thought that they were the Jewish Defence League, so told them to go and swivel. His mum comes off as slightly anti-Semitic here. It doesn't explain why he doesn't just go to the Justice League and explain the confusion, or see if they will put him up for the night anyway. Then he loses his anti-Semitic mum. Yeah, I didn't like this. It is like farce comedy, and I have zero tolerance for farce. Then he falls over and hurts his leg, which also tears up his clothes, and a rich couple mistake him for a homeless person, which technically isn't even a mistake. And he is talking to himself now, and they think how he's not right in the head. And do you get it? Do you get the point? In an awfully expedited twist of fate, Willie West has become just like the person who he showed little care for at the start of the story. So will the writer. This is fucking atrocious. I really didn't like this story at all. It is ham-fisted and poorly written. It also doesn't make much sense because Willie West has plenty of alternatives to begging on the street for a day or eating a pretzel off the ground. The writer was wanting to make a point. He was trying to say that anyone could become homeless and that we shouldn't treat them all like detritus and generalise them, but it is too badly written and too nonsensical from the perspective of the character. And everyone speaks so dismissively of the homeless that it is to the point of parody. Really, I do not care for this at all. I want to repeat that this writer does great stories on the Flask, but this issue is not one of them, and maybe even might be the worst issue he ever wrote on the book. It is transparent and preachy, with zero tact, and subtle isn't a word in this issue's vocabulary. I hate this comic, but I will not be tearing it up. Its message is one of consideration, and I think it was handled badly, but the intentions were good. The thing is, this doesn't feel real. It feels like a bad Amdram production. The writer would likely write this story much better nowadays because he would have more first-hand knowledge and experience on the subject. And that sounds like a mean joke, but I'm serious. This is the most over-the-top and clearly fictional sequence of events possible. And then there is an alien because it is a superhero comic for a page. And you see this leads into DC's big Evasion crossover. And I wonder, had there not been a crossover, would Willie West have just stayed homeless forever? All I can say about this one is yikes. It is not good. It is full of stereotypes and cliches and cringy after-school special dialogue. I didn't recommend this to anyone except for the perverted attraction to the irony that the writer became homeless. Again, I am not being mean. I think he is a good writer, and him becoming so out of work that he struggles financially is awful. but there really is a novelty to it that has a sick appeal. It's like reading a comic about not grooming children by Dave Sim. Rather than give this issue 7 thumbs up, I'll give £7 to the next homeless person I see instead.